and you are. We are Citizen Outbreak. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Citizen Outbreak. Matthew, how are we today?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Can you hear me good?
I hear you fine. I hear you perfect. Your mic is actually sounding great today. I cannot believe it. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Thank you. JC. I'm Jewish, by the way. Were you busy this weekend, Matthew?
Yeah, I got all the gear now to do the pod. I got the mixers. I've got everything going, so we're in good shape.
Wonderful, wonderful. I was busy as well. I was participating in the No Kings protests.
Did you go to the No Kings?
I went to a No Kings protest. Yes, I did. I wanted to see what they were protesting about. It was interesting. I did not go to protest on behalf of the No Kings. I went there to give them my middle finger. And they were not happy. And when I saw the people, I understand why they were not happy about my middle finger. I also understood why they look the way they look. They look like miserable people. And I still, Matthew, can you explain to me? It's been the No Kings protest or rally, whatever you want to call it. It was on Saturday. We're on Tuesday right now. And from Saturday till I saw these delusional people till today, I've asked numerous people, what was the No Kings protest or rally, whatever you want to call it, about? What were they protesting? Matthew, please tell me, what were they protesting?
Is there like a leader of the No Kings? Is it a movement like BLM is a movement? Or is it like, what is it? And where did it come from?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. I know they had one like a couple months ago. They had a No Kings one and flopped. It was over the summer, remember? That was the first one.
Okay.
It flopped. They didn't get like barely any people showed up. But this one, you know, it was a massive, massive rally. They had about 650,000 people around the world show up.
They didn't. I think MSNBC got caught showing some other kind of event and claiming that it was a No Kings.
I think they showed the Boston Marathon, or
right.
the Boston, the New England Patriots.
I was walking around downtown. I was downtown, and I went actually for lunch, like in the Nomad area. There were a good amount. First of all, it was a gorgeous day, and there were
it was a beautiful day. Beautiful.
Yeah, but there were a good amount of people walking around. Ugly people walking around with flags and these signs that they made. There was one guy I tried getting out. I was driving, unfortunately, but there was one guy that was simultaneously like watching college football. He was really a chubby kid watching college football, screaming about like some ref call. So there were definitely people. I mean, to me, the whole like quote unquote protest thing of, the idea of, hey, let's go out there and ruin everybody's commute, or on a beautiful day, let's cause traffic and fuck up everybody else's weekend plans. I don't think that's a really effective way for getting anybody to come and join your team, right? Like if I was, that's not what I would do. But they did have some turnout. Like I said, most of the time, and I think it holds true, like they're never like good looking people.
Not one good-looking person there.
So it's a weird impulse. Like I've never had an impulse. I know that they give a lot of these type of events, they give out like a bologna sandwich and $20, for attendance. They do that for everything. I mean, if you think about it, you try to throw a party, it's tough to get people to come, even when you're promising booze and, music. So it's like come and scream and look angry. And so I don't know, but it's an ugly crowd. They fuck up traffic, No Kings. The reason why it's just such a stupid, like it's like, it's wild how quickly they pretend like this is such a movement thing. No Kings. Like, is there like a crowd out there that's talking about No Kings? Like, I have no idea. Like, it's weird to me.
So,
at least when they created BLM, I guess they're saying racism, like No Kings.
Right. But what these people are saying is, because I was listening to you know, I was listening to what they were chanting in their signs, and they were saying that Donald Trump is a king and that he is doing things that only a king does. Okay, Matthew, here are my thoughts. Number one, if he was a king, Congress and the Senate would not shut down the government. He would pass whatever he wants to pass, do any kind of spending that he wants to do whatever he wants. Am I correct? Congress and Senate would have no control over what he wants to do. He would do whatever he wants with healthcare, do whatever he wants with illegals, do whatever he wants with the budget. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
But
you
he's a
know,
king. But yet the Senate and Congress checks and balances. We still have that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if he was a king, okay, then all these people that went after him when he wasn't president and he was, you know, sitting there in his 4 years, and they were going after him and they were suing him, trying to put him in jail. Wouldn't all those people be in jail right now? Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Comey might be going to jail. Letitia James might be going to jail, but no,
well, first of
a
all,
king says,
a lot more of those guys should be going to jail.
more of them should be going to jail. But a king says, hey, you, the jester, or whatever, you know, the whatever, put him in jail. They go right to the slammer, into
Look,
jail, into the dungeon.
they've attached the word. They keep using the word fascist, right? But
Fascist.
authoritarian. So fascist, they've retired the word fascist in the garbage dump under, you know, racist, genocide, Nazi, Hitler, conspiracy theorist. These are all terms that have been destroyed. Like, there is no more racist, there is no more genocide, because when you're using such an inappropriate term to describe something, you then devalue the reality of that term. Right? Either you can't call him a fascist. There's nothing. I mean, it's just an idiotic application of the word king fascist. I mean, it doesn't hold any. You know, you don't like the policies that you think he stands for, that he's passing, and you want your guy in there instead.
Right. But
you know,
they want their guy in there or their girl in there because they like that person's policies better. But guess what? We had something called an election. And Donald Trump got elected, not only by the Electoral College, but also he won the popular vote. It
Yeah.
wasn't fixed like in 2020 when Joe Biden allegedly, they say, fixed it. Okay. He got voted in. And guess what? It wasn't just him. Republicans have Congress. Republicans have the majority Senate.
Look, I think there's no message. Like, they haven't gotten their kind of messaging together. You know, there's a very, very large. Most people don't really need to come up with anything better than he's a fascist or he's a Nazi. That works.
It works.
And
it works because
they
they
gotta
threw
then
around
figure out a way.
Hitler. He's Hitler, and then they can't say he's or maybe they still say he's Hitler.
No, he's still Hitler.
still don't
He's a
understand
fascist Hitler.
Who he's thrown in the
De Niro was up there on MSNBC calling the Jewish guy Fisher. He was calling him
Miller.
He was calling Miller
Stephen
Goebbels.
Miller.
Yeah, he called him Goebbels.
Yeah, and I just don't understand. Okay, when
what I don't understand, what I don't understand, since you're saying I don't like, the left is supposedly, they have Hollywood on their side, right? Spielberg.
Right, but there was a lot of Hollywood people out there protesting.
Right.
Pedro Pascal was out there protesting.
Okay, what I'm
John
saying
Bon
is
Jovi out there.
Right. What I'm saying is these are supposed to be the creative folk that come up with great scripts and shit. Why can't they come up with a better narrative, a better pitch? Like, they've been doing the same thing about Trump for, the last 10 years. Before that, they did the same thing about W. He's Hitler. He's going to destroy the democracy. We're under threat from democracy. I mean, it's amazing. Like it's sad. De Niro's just sad. Like I can't, I got to go back to watch a De Niro movie. Like the guy has ruined himself, but like, it's just so ridiculous, So I don't know why they can't come up with a better.
Tell us why you're protesting. Tell us why you're protesting.
They can't.
And they can't even say what policies they don't like. They can't say, I don't like this policy. I don't like that. They can't say anything.
They don't have to, though. right?
There's nothing that they could say that, oh, I don't like that he did this. I don't like that he did that. There's nothing there.
Well, they don't have to. They just
And
say
then
that
I heard
he's
this lady, they were interviewing her and she goes, well, he's not releasing the Epstein files. And then the
I
girl
wish he
who was
would.
interviewing her says, well, why didn't Joe Biden release them? Well, Joe Biden was waiting for the DOJ to do it, and the DOJ didn't do it. Okay. Do they know how the legal system works, Matthew?
I don't think that they. I don't know. I doubt that girl does. I wish Trump would release the Epstein files.
But he
I don't-
can't release them. It's in courts right now.
Come on. I think they're all lying about that. And
Well,
Trump is,
I personally, I don't think there are files anymore. I think they were destroyed in 2008 when Epstein got arrested the first time. But that's not no here nor
I
there.
don't know. I don't know what's in the files. But
We don't,
Trump,
but
Trump said there were files, and Bondi said there were files, and then they
There
said
were
that
files.
they weren't.
There's files.
But they officially said they aren't.
The files were destroyed, 100%.
But
we're not
Bondi
talking about
said
the
that they were
files.
on her desk.
We're talking about why these people are protesting. One of the things that I heard someone say was he's not releasing the Epstein files. That makes him a king, that he's not releasing files that he's probably not even in. And even if he was in those files, the king, he said, a prince was in those files, if you remember, Prince Andrew.
Yeah, he just gave it up.
He just gave it up. But we had Joe Biden in for 4 years. They went after Trump for everything. You're telling me that they wouldn't have gone after the king over Epstein files if he was in there?
I don't know. I don't know. I think not getting lost on the Epstein thing aside, I think the king thing is just, they don't have to go deeper they got to keep a crowd excited. And
I personally, to me, I drove over there. It was down the street from my town. I know you were in the city and you saw a much larger crowd. I saw a smaller crowd. I looked around at the people. They were all middle-aged women and men. I was kind of disappointed because most of them were Jewish. I happen to be Jewish. And I was just like, President Trump just got hostages out of Israel. Like, you should be applauding the man. But no, they're not. And what they looked like, they were wearing like really old, raggedy clothes. They look like they just got out of like the script for the Upper West Side Manhattanite that walks around on the Upper West Side. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like the granola. The women and the men were both wearing ugly sandals with their nasty toes hanging out. The women all had gray, unkept hair.
A lot of earth tones.
Yeah, like I thought I was at the degenerates that
They
forgot
suck.
about the Grateful
They
Dead
suck.
concert.
They suck. These people suck.
They suck.
But, you know.
And I still don't know why they were protesting. I understand. Oh, he's a king. He's a king. But what has he done that's a king?
You're giving it more thought than they do.
I am giving it more thought because I still don't understand. And I'm
Right,
trying
but they don't need, like, he's a Nazi. Like De Niro, who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's up there and he's walking this other schmuck through why this is the Nazis. So he really believes that Trump and his administration is comparative to the Nazis. I mean, I don't.
And what did he say? Why did he say Trump is? What was his comparison? Tell me, because I didn't.
I can't. I mean, he's calling them not. He says they're the Nazis. They're modern day Nazis. I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't know if he really understands what the Nazis did, or but they like what that's done, right? Because what they do is they use the word king, and they say authoritarian, and they say it's a threat to our democracy, and they get people nuts. They get them, they get them crazy. They send them out to burn down our cities. In 2020, that was the government led. They told these kids go out and burn down the cities, and it's protest. They shut down 7th Avenue from 57th Street to 35th. I don't understand. Since when do we just shut down main arteries of the city to accommodate this bullshit?
Well,
like, I don't.
If
that
you notice,
started under
they
Cuomo.
shut
I
it
don't
down
remember.
at a certain time, and then it was at 2:00. That was it. They had to disperse, and like cockroaches in the sun, boom, they were gone at 2:00. They were gone.
Look, I mean, definitely there's a paid component to it. I mean,
of course, there's a paid component.
yeah, I mean, there's to all of this stuff. Look, I'm saying it's the negative about it. Like on the Jewish side, you can't tell me that when you're constantly using that word, you don't numb people to the reality of that word. And
Yeah,
that's
no.
so I mean, king. It's just what is it? It doesn't mean anything. Like they don't have, and for them, they don't have to explain it. It's just that they're anti-king. I mean, I saw like they were all doing like these posts, like Swalwell, and the best was like Swalwell was walking around and there was a divider between him and the crowd, and he's like cheering like this. He's like, we don't hate America, we love America, but we hate kings. Like, walk out into the people. Don't stand
Right.
behind your look. These people are ridiculous. That's who we send to Washington, and they need to just keep content coming for that. They need to hold that crowd, and apparently,
So the reason why they might have done this at the time that they did it was because how we started is the Democrats are fighting the Republicans in the Senate to get this bill passed, which is the CR, to get it through. And it's timed where the Democrats shut down the government. The Democrats are not agreeing with something that they already agreed upon to just extend this bill. This is why they did this rally, so that they could get people behind them to say, oh, Trump shut down the government. No, it wasn't Trump that shut down the government. The Democrats shut it down. And they're trying to get people behind them to say, oh, Trump, this is Trump's fault. He's the king. He shut down the government. He wants these things in this bill. He's not negotiating, but they're not telling you that there's things in this bill that the Republicans want out, the Democrats want in.
who even
The
knows
stuff for the illegals, the stuff for the illegal health care, the transvestite things in Puerto Rico and Colombia. That's fine, but not on our dime. Why do we have to pay it? We have a deficit. Why do we have to pay for expensive stuff that we don't need? Also, the party that's calling Donald Trump the king is the same party that locked us down after COVID, and then made all these rules. Like, if you don't get the vaccine, you're not coming to work. If you aren't getting the vaccine and you don't have the papers, remember the little papers that you had to get the vaccine signed, and you didn't show those papers walking into a restaurant? Those are the Democrats. The Democrats did that. Red states didn't have that. You can't come to work unless you got the vaccine. And there's a ton of other stuff that they did. And they're still doing it.
It's bullshit.
Speaking of breaking news. Should I hit the breaking news? I think I need a better breaking news button. What do you think?
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Breaking news. Somebody that actually does think that Donald Trump is a king and hates Donald Trump.
Yes.
She left. She left the United States a while ago. She moved to Ireland. She's a nasty, nasty, nasty woman. And her name is Rosie O'Donnell. I know you know her. Not personally, but you've seen her. Unfortunately, you've seen her. I hope you didn't throw up in your mouth.
What happened to her?
Marco Rubio just confirmed that loudmouth Trump-hating hag Rosie O'Donnell's passport has been yanked after she ditched her American citizenship like the ungrateful traitor that she is. Well, guess what? She's in Ireland and she's not coming back. And if she does come back, she's going to have to come back a different type of way, but not with the United States passport, because that United States passport is gone.
So they took her passport away?
She's not a U.S. citizen. Why should she have a U.S. passport? They yanked her citizenship.
That's funny.
Yeah, so she's
like a real lunatic. She really lost it.
She's a real lunatic. Yeah, she's a real lunatic. Yeah, Trump lives rent free in her head. Matthews, I'm not going to ask you because you already told me where you were this weekend. You were in the city. You were not in Paris, France.
No. You can cross me off.
Okay, I thought maybe it was you, but I know you're sneaky like that. You saw these jewels. I know you've noticed jewels before on lovely ladies. But did you hear? You heard what happened in Paris, France over the weekend at the Louvre, at the Louvre Museum.
Pretty crazy.
You've been to the Louvre Museum, I assume. I've been to the Louvre Museum many times.
Yeah.
What kind of security do they have at the Louvre Museum where people could just break in? And
how did they got in because they were wearing construction outfits?
So I don't know how well you know the Louvre, but there's an area to the right. Like if you're at the pyramids, there's another building and there's like a section, like kind of like a tunnel, not a tunnel, but like an underpass that you come in. And it's kind of like the whole Louvre is obviously old, but there's a section where it had to be an inside job. Somebody probably opened up the window. They had one of those ladders, but it wasn't like the ladders. It was like if you're in Paris, you see the trucks with the ladders to bring up the furniture. It was like one of those little ladders.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of. So there was this Instagram thing that when I was scrolling, and I think I sent it to you, actually. It was like these kids that said, "We're gonna run a test." And had nothing to do with the Louvre, but these kids went like, I don't know, viral. I saw it on my feed. Like, they're like, "We can get in anywhere as long as we're carrying a ladder." And it was hysterical. So they go to like a movie theater and they open up and they're just like two guys just walking in, and like the guy like just lets them right past because they're carrying a ladder. They went to like a bunch of different types of establishments and got in everywhere because they were using the they had the ladder under their arms.
Right.
So there's an element to that here because it says
so Sunday morning, the burglars rode a mechanical ladder, like what I
Right.
described, up to the second floor, sought out a window, and climbed inside. I don't think they sought out the window. I think somebody opened it up for them. It's called the Apollo Gallery, and they were in within a matter of minutes. They snatched 8 pieces worth about 88 million euros. That's $100 million.
crazy.
It was jewelry.
Like,
snatched 8 pieces from a collection of royal jewelry, crown diamonds, including royal sapphire necklace, a royal emerald necklace, matching earrings, diadem worn by Empress Eugenie, the wife of Napoleon III. There's no sign of them. And Paris has had a big. They're known for getting robberies of jewelries. I mean, you had the Pink Panther.
Those guys
heist
were
guys.
Yeah,
that
but
that
was really like a smash and grab. Like that was
There wasn't really. They had a couple things that they did. The Pink Panther. They were a known crime.
Yeah.
Matthew.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you a story.
Tell me a story.
I always have a story for you. I'm gonna tell you a story. I was 13 years old, and I was in the Carlton Hotel with my buddy Scott Chase. And they were in the Carlton Hotel. It's in Cannes, France, which is the south of France where the film festival is. I know you've known it. You know where it is, but maybe people listening and viewing us, they don't. It's the south of France. During the south of France, most people stay at this very chic hotel, the Carlton Intercontinental Time Hotel. My friend Scott Chase was staying there. I happened to stay with him a couple nights. There was, in the lobby of the hotel, there's a little thing called the Petite Bar. We're 13 years old. We're hanging out. We're having our little tutti frutti drinks, thinking that they're alcohol, but they weren't, because everybody else was going to a club called Le Opera. And a guy walks in. Meanwhile, it's like 90 degrees outside. Guy walks in wearing an overcoat and one of those, those hats, the bucket hats.
Yes.
Speaking of Pink Panther, Peter Sellers. This is what the guy looked like. Peter Sellers wearing the hat and the overcoat. And he walks in and we start making fun of this guy. In the lobby at the time, they were having a rare jewelry exhibition. And when he shot it up, another guy or two guys ran in. I don't really know because
he was the distraction.
He was the guy who was came in to see what's going on. And they robbed the place. They robbed the place of all the jewelry. It happened to be on a night where there was also fireworks. So some people thought that was like leftover fireworks, because down there in Cannes, every second week they have like a firework
the firework competition
show. So people thought it was like a
people
leftover.
aren't expecting. People aren't
right. So we didn't get shot, thank God, but the place got robbed. They took all this expensive jewelry, and this is a thing in France. This is a thing. There's stories where a car drives into the front of Cartier and steals all the jewelry out of Cartier. In Paris a couple months ago, I think it was Louis Vuitton. A car rammed into the front of Louis Vuitton, stole the stuff. You hear stories all the time coming out of France about these jewelry heists, and I think even on our podcast a couple weeks ago, we spoke about one of the crypto guys getting.
No, but wasn't that here? That was here.
No, that was a guy here that got kidnapped, but also in France, there was 2 guys that got kidnapped, or they were about to get kidnapped, and they, But here's another story that came out of Paris. A 24-year-old Chinese woman was charged with stealing nearly $2 million worth of historic gold nuggets from the Paris Natural Museum of History, including pieces from the California Gold Rush and a nugget gifted by Tsar Nicholas I in 1833. They caught her in Barcelona.
How did she get it out of the museum?
She broke in at 1 a.m. using a circular saw, a blowtorch, and gas canisters cut through the doors and display cases. This happened, I guess this also happened over the weekend. I'm not sure. But Paris has a problem with these robberies. I don't know if it's a thing, but I don't know. They also have an issue with their security, and now people might be.
I hate all the people that go in and throw paint on all these things. If I saw that, I think I'd really get mad.
The Louvre Museum's director happens to be Laurence Descartes.
I don't know.
Laurence Descartes is a female, and she's the first female director of the Louvre.
Is she still?
Also,
today?
Dominique Buffon, which is Dominique, a female, is the first female security chief of the Louvre.
Are they still employed there in these positions today?
As of today, yes. But now critics are on the focus. Were these two hires DEI hires, and were they vulnerable because of these hires? Did these women know what they were doing with security?
I think it's funny. I mean, a good jewel heist is pretty crazy. This takes a lot of balls.
Well, you have to, number one, you have to get the jewels, right? You have to rob. You got to not get caught.
Well,
then you have to sell the goods. The stuff that they stole, it's not easy to get rid of them on the market. Who's going to buy it? Chinese, Saudis?
No.
And what are they going to do with them? They're going to put them where? In their house? If their wives wear anything, they're going to get caught. They're going to see what it is.
Right. I don't know, but you're putting trust. So it's just, it's a crazy thing. You're putting trust in other people, right? About your livelihood. Let's say I got 6 guys with me. Okay. We're going to do the thing. We're going to get in this way. You really hope this plan better work, right? Because then, let's say 2 of these guys get caught. So I'm going into this you're all in when you go and you do these things, when you take down this score, and it takes a lot of balls. It's a mindset,
It is.
Speaking of which, they're gonna make a Heat 2. Did you know this?
I did hear about the Heat 2. What is it? DiCaprio and
I'm a hard pass. I don't think they should mess around with this.
No. But
I mean, it's so far away.
One last thing about the Louvre thing, Matthew.
This is all about the Louvre.
I know.
We're talking about taking down scores.
The scores, but remember 9/11? They found passports that didn't melt.
Yeah.
How did those passports get there? We don't know. They found a passport here.
Yeah.
If you're going to rob a place, are you taking a passport?
Was it Rosie O'Donnell?
It was not Rosie O'Donnell. However, who do you think? What country did they find the passport of the robber? Quote
Israel?
unquote, alleged robber. No, but I'll get to that in a second. They found a Russian passport. French authorities have found a Russian passport next to the recently robbed Louvre Museum in Paris. A deliberate act of war by Vladimir Putin.
That's funny. That's funny.
But Israel actually, the French, who, as you know, they have been bad-mouthing Israel and Netanyahu all this time during the Gaza thing. Guess who they called as backup to try to figure out this robbery?
Israel. Yeah, I saw it. It is the Israeli.
The Israelis.
Yeah.
Because they have.
Yeah. The intelligence firm I saw, they hired this intelligence firm to help them out.
Yeah. Israel company joins investigation of the Louvre. CGI Group, led by former Shin Bet chief, was brought in to support French's investigation to the Louvre Heist, Israeli security company. Let me ask you a question, Matthew, before we go on to our next topic. Do you think they find these guys?
Who did they find the pink pussy people?
The Pink Panther guys? Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
I mean, look, this is this is pretty cool because this is a big, like, they took $100 million of historic artifact jewels from the Louvre. You know, I think this is gonna be interesting. I can't imagine that they don't catch these guys. Like I said, when you do this, there's now a web of people that you need to rely on their competency and their integrity. And if any of that is below par, the whole system is at risk. Right? Like
Yeah.
the guy that's organizing your travel, or the guy that's, giving you the, like, pretending to rent your room over here. Everybody's got to stay on script. So usually,
Nobody
Yeah.
could crack.
right. And usually people crack.
Francois or Pierre cannot tell his girlfriend that he was where he was that night of the heist.
There's always something that slips up. So when you go for one of these things and you get in that car, you're on that ride. It's like you're really putting your life in other people's hands.
Here's the other thing. We live in a day and age where there's cameras everywhere.
Uh-huh.
The cameras at the Louvre didn't work, where they were robbing, did not work. There's no cameras or any evidence of them escaping or where they went. They found I think a leftover scooter or something. But if you rob somebody in Paris and you're on the run, you would imagine that in Paris, a city, there's cameras everywhere, that they would see something. I don't know.
The thing is, so is the stuff worth $100 million because of the raw materials in there, or is it because of the historic?
I think it's worth it because of the historic value.
So
So
then
then the
is
other
it-
question is, what's their end game? Like, are they selling it because of its
that's what I'm
artifacts,
saying.
or are they melting it down?
So who's gonna, who are they gonna, who are they selling these artifacts to?
Well, that's what I was saying. Who are they selling it to? This is not an easy sell. They
Yeah.
had to have known what they were doing. Somebody wanted it.
I mean, yeah. Look, I think it's a fun story. We gotta track this one.
We should get the rights to the movie and try to sell it.
Pretty good. The heist.
The heist. No, not the heist. Sacre Louvre.
Yeah, Sacre Louvre. We'll see what happens here.
All right, on to our next heist. TMZ. You know who
Yeah.
TMZ is?
Yeah, of course.
TMZ, 30 Mile Zone, known for reporting gossip, sneaking
What did
up
you
on
say?
celebrities in their 30 Mile Zone.
What's that?
TMZ. That's what TMZ stands for, the 30 Mile Zone. That's, you could go only 30 miles per hour on Sunset.
I never knew that's what that was.
Hey, see, you learn something new every day. Anyway, TMZ, known for
What's his name again? Remember the guy's name? Harvey.
Harvey Levin, who's like a fossil. He's like 80 something years old, and he looks
Is
great.
he
by
really?
the
He
way.
looks great.
Yeah, he looks great for 80. I think he's 80. Anyway, TMZ, who's known as a celebrity tracking celebrities, recently have gotten down into politics. They're doing more political stuff, a lot more political stuff. We saw about they got involved with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. But now TMZ is coming out with a news story that they heard from somebody at a high level from the Trump administration that President Donald Trump is planning to commute the sentence of Sean Diddy Combs.
Mhm.
The White House denies it.
What they do?
And TMZ comes out with a new thing that says they stand by the story after White House denies Trump considering commuting Diddy's sentence, possibly this week.
Well,
So
did anybody ask Trump?
they have not asked Trump yet. If you're President Donald Trump, do you commute the sentence of P. Diddy?
So if I look at that, just from what I saw in that trial, the whole thing looked like a real sham to me. They came out, they threw a lot of charges on him, not the ones for the guns or anything, which would have carried some serious. And again, this is stuff that they printed in the beginning. So they had RICO, they had this, they talked about networks of sending little boys, little girls this way. Ultimately, we got applesauce on hamburgers. We got a 15-year-old video of him beating up Cassie. There was, and him doing some cuckold stuff and hiring a hooker. We didn't even see any gay activity from him. Sex. I mean, it depends what you think about cuck. But like, what I'm saying is, and then they denied him $100 million for bail, and they gave him 4 years for getting a hooker. So, it doesn't add up. And if I'm looking at it through that lens, if you show me those data points and you hide the name of who it is and you don't tell me anything else about it, you just say, here's what happened. I'd take a look at it if I had the, but of course, so, keeping in mind that it's Diddy and everything, I don't know. Like, does it help him politically is what the conversation comes down to. I don't know if,
I don't think it helps him politically. I think that people look at it and they say, from both sides, I think if you're a Republican and you look at Trump and he says, oh yeah, I'm going to commute Diddy sentence, they're going to be like, what? You're going to commute this guy, this piece of, what?
Yeah, but he could be a
And
piece
if
of
you're
shit.
a Democrat, you're also going to say, oh, look, he's got stuff on their best friends. He's friends with this degenerate.
He could be a piece of shit. And, I've heard a lot about him, but like they ultimately they dropped every single charge that was like, he got 4 years for calling a hooker. Like that.
I understand that. I understand that I completely understand the case.
What it looks,
I'm saying
it's
as
pretty
President
good.
Donald Trump schematics, how it looks. Does it look good for President Donald Trump to commute P. Diddy?
If he makes the case, what I'm saying to you is like, to me, it's like, what the hell happened there? To me, it just looks like he pissed off the wrong people because he had been behaving a certain way for a very long time. There were always kinds of rumors about the guy. Of course, once he got in trouble, you had, big name celebrities like 50 Cent. Oh, we've known this the whole time. He's a bad dude, blah, 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 blah. They didn't say anything before he got in trouble. Okay. So the top comes off. He lost whatever support he had and he got in trouble, and by a lot of accounts, he's not a good, certainly by like Main Street, I guess standards, he doesn't live he lives a certain kind of life and a bad guy. And I get it. But if it's really like, look, this is corrupt shit going on in that district, same district that went after Trump, on bullshit charges. So, if it's part of an effort to really show corruption, which this looks like it's pretty easy, like it, and it sucks. Like if the guy is a bad guy, I wish they would have done, a better job of charging him with crimes that were there. I ultimately, all I remember about the court case was like, Cassie, who, he paid her money. She signed an NDA. She called up people, threatened them and stuff like that. Like she was, she looked to be doing just fine. She wrote a book about it. And then applesauce on a hamburger and some guy named the Executioner that they would call over every Tuesday to have sex in their bedroom, voluntarily. It's not my kind of life. I think it's, it's not the way I go about it. And I've heard all kinds of shit about this guy. He doesn't sound like a good guy, but the case itself, yeah, look, it falls into the category of why touch it if you're him. But, if there's something glaring that he looks at and, if he believes that it's right to look at because of something, then okay. Personally, it'll give us something more to talk about on the show.
Yeah, but if I'm him, I don't touch this. Look, Diddy got 4.5 years. He already did a year. He's going to get in another year. He's going to get out in a year. That's the bottom line. He's not going to be in there for much longer, especially when Mamdami coming out and saying that rapists and criminals need to get out because they need reform. So you imagine that if Mamdami becomes mayor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a clear. I don't see a clear like political win for him by doing this. So on that end, I think I agree with you. But I think, like I said, I think the way it went down was definitely sketch.
Definitely. Speaking of Mamdami, you were telling me yesterday, you didn't really tell me the whole story, but you put a wager?
Yeah, so I hadn't ever been on these, Kalshi and Polytracker. You know about these?
Not Polytracker, Polymarket.
Yeah, Polymarket, but I did Kalshi.
Yeah, Kalshi.
just because that was the first one that opened up. But I hadn't done it, and I really wanted to see how they function. But now people are really citing them as kind of like real indicators. So you go on, and it's like a 12-to-1 payout if you bet that Cuomo's going to win. So I bet that, and I bet that Silva is going to step down, which is like a 7-to-1.
So you bet. When does he have to step down? This week?
He doesn't have to step. I mean,
You
there's
just
no.
bet on it straight out he's stepping down.
So the way it works is yes or no. Is you choose a yes or a no. They give you the circumstance, and they go yes, and it's yes or no, or it's just the circumstances. The ones that I picked was does Cuomo win? Yes or no? Yes.
And what kind of odds are you getting?
12
Like
to
if you
1.
bet 12-to-1, really? And you bet that Cuomo was going to win and Curtis Lewa was going to step down.
Yeah,
or
I think
step aside.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Today really got going. Like now they're really they're attacking Silva Sliwa pretty heavy. I think we're gonna see that ratchet up, and it's gonna be pretty. I think it's gonna be pretty nuts the next week.
Yeah, they definitely have increased on him stepping down. The Christidis supermarket guy, I can't even pronounce his name. Castamatidis, yeah, he asked for him to step down. There's a few other people that asked for him to step down.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing his media rounds. They've been asking him to step down. Why isn't he stepping down?
No, it's a whole concerted effort. He has
Right.
to step down and give his votes to Cuomo.
Yeah.
What's interesting.
So sad that this is where we are.
But it's
in
so
New York,
dishonest
that we are praying for Andrew Cuomo, who was a terrible governor, to come and save New York when he's just going to destroy New York just as bad as Zohran Mamdami, except one guy doesn't hate Jews and the other one hates Jews.
But the whole narrative is dishonest.
They're all the same. They're both the same guy.
The narrative is just Cuomo. Look, what they're saying is New York Post, the Republicans, all they're saying you got to do this. He's the lesser of two. The reality is the polls that they're now showing are showing Cuomo up by down by 11 to Zohran, but up on Sliwa by like 12. So the math works out perfectly. So Sliwa disappears, his stuff goes to. So why am I saying? I'm saying that I think all these polls are bullshit. I think that the plan has been to put Cuomo in since day one, but that's why I made the bet. But the inverse works. And because now in those polls, Sliwa's actually been gaining. So they could say, look, Cuomo's only leading Sliwa by 10 points. Unlike Cuomo, Sliwa hasn't already run against Zohran and lost. Why isn't the Post coming out and demanding Cuomo to step down and give all of his votes? This isn't the way that democracy is supposed to work. And you would never see, I can't remember a scenario where Republicans were like Democrats were saying, vote for the Republican because it'll save us. Like this happens, like this happens a lot. Like this happened with Biden, with Hillary Clinton. It's just bullshit. And I think it'll work. I think they've got everybody coming after Sliwa now, but I think it's such a transparent. Why aren't they? Why didn't Trump come out and say, step down, Cuomo, give all your, and support Sliwa? It's weird. Trump was supporting Cuomo since day one. Heavy, like all of his people. They were having headlines saying that he was offering him jobs. It's something's going on, and it doesn't make sense. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Do we have time for?
If he wins, if he wins, we'll go out because I put some money on him. I believe that's what's going to happen.
Good. Well, 12-to-1. I mean, why not take a flyer? Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. I'll let you know in the next pod if I do it. Do you have time for another?
Yeah,
another topic, or you got to run?
What's up, man? Let's chop it up. Come on.
Last topic.
My dad's turning 93.
Amazing.
Or he turned 93 today. But yeah.
Amazing. Happy birthday to your father. 93 is an amazing feat. I'm sure that he sees all this stuff going on and he's just like, what the hell is going on in the world? And he's probably seen it all. And this is probably like a socialist, Marxist, communist, whatever you want to call him,
it's depressing.
mayor in New York, he's probably banging his head up against the wall saying, what the hell's going on with New York?
Crazy.
And he's lived here his whole life, your father, right?
He moved. I mean, he grew up in a small village upstate, is how he calls it, and then he went to college, and then he's been here since like early 1950s.
Yeah, so there you go. He's been here the whole time. Okay, so our last topic, and then I will let you run to go celebrate with your father. The meeting between Putin and Trump, part 2, that was supposed to happen in Budapest has been called off. The planned meeting between Putin and Trump is reportedly now in doubt after a tense phone conversation yesterday between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Sources said Washington concluded that the Kremlin's position on ending the war remains largely unchanged, prompting uncertainty over the proposed summit. Rubio and Lavrov were supposed to meet on Thursday, which is in 2 days, but now it's been postponed. And it's believed that Rubio will advise Trump to not proceed with the Budapest meeting that's supposed to happen in 2 weeks. Another call is going to happen with the two diplomats in the next coming days. They'll see if they can patch things up. I'm going to call bullshit on this, Matthew.
What do you think? What do you think's going on?
I think that Rubio and Lavrov had a talk, and we've heard Lavrov talk a bunch of times, and he's very to the point, and he's stern. But at the end of the day, Putin is the one that makes the decisions. And I think that Lavrov was feeling out Rubio to see what they could get through, what they could get by. And I think that then at the end of the day, we heard Lavrov at the UN speaking. His terminology and what he was saying had changed. I think that a deal will be made. I think that Trump will meet with Putin in 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. I think peace will be made. I know we've said this for months, and I know I called it one of our first podcasts that the war will be over in 2 weeks. I really think that this war will be over very soon. I think Trump needs it to be over for his legacy. Zelensky, I think, needs it to be over because I think he's exhausted. I think Europe wants it over because I think they're exhausted financially, and it just doesn't look good on them. They have their own problems in Europe. And Putin, I think Putin wants it over. I think Putin sees that this war is really not going anywhere. I think he's losing money. He's got the sanctions. I think Putin even though he's not a nice guy and he's KGB and he is a king. No, he does what these liberals are saying. He does that in his own country. But the people in his country are actually, you have the top and the bottom, and, they live differently. I think that he wants it over. I think that's what I think. I think that this will be over. Zelensky will keep his regions with the understanding that those regions, Donbass and Donetsk, whatever you call it, will be Donsk
and Lumbas or Lumbas.
No, it's the other one. Anyway, they will be allowed to speak Russian. They will be able to have Russian Orthodox priests there, and they will be able to, because they got rid of those priests. They're not allowed to practice Russian Orthodox in Ukraine anymore, and they're not allowed to speak Russian anymore. It's the law.
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to do it. I think that's what's going to happen. From what I understand is Europe wants to use the seized Russian assets to pay for the rebuilding of Ukraine. I don't know how far that part is going to go. Maybe Putin will give up a little bit, but I think he'll want that back. And especially since a lot of those frozen assets were from oligarchs that had really nothing to do with the war. But I do believe that this will be done.
I think they also have Trump and the Chinese are supposed to meet at the end of the month, right?
This is correct.
Right. I think this is how many different points they've been talking about this shit for so long. It's like what are they? I can't really imagine. And the only thing that gets printed, Zelensky says he's not giving up any territory. Every time he says he's not giving anything in as long as Putin's there. It's pretty much his position. I haven't really heard anything other than they talk about, 100,000 people dying every week, Trump, but I don't know what points. It's like, I don't know what the deal points are that they're actually, because they don't really frame it ever like that. It's just like, Trump just says people are dying. So I don't know what the deal points are they're close on or far apart on. I think, like to what you're talking about with those regions, they have a framework. Both countries agreed on the Minsk agreements, right? So I think they could go sign that, and I don't know, but I think like you said last time, I think there's how China plays in and what happens there, and what Trump can get going on that path to, hopefully pressure Trump, pressure Russia, and pressure the EU into getting good to go. Otherwise, Trump's just gonna have to walk away.
Well, he at one point he did say he was going to walk away, and then
Well, I
rare
mean,
rare earths.
right, and that's I mean, the walk away thing is, I'm gonna walk away and I'll sell NATO weapons.
Right, and that's what they're doing. The U.S. is making money.
And NATO can do it then weapons, whatever they want, and that's where he walks away. But, if he, if Russia, trying to, play the game. So we'll see. I think, look, Trump wants to get a deal done. Trump wants to get China. He's got a couple years here. So
He needs, when he was president the first time, his whole thing was, I'm gonna bring Russia closer to me to decouple them from China. The war started thanks to Joe Biden. Russia got close with China.
China.
They got close with China. And China's buying oil and gas from Russia. They got
So is the EU, by
exchange.
the way.
So is EU, right? But they're exchanging stuff, and it's all a game.
And
If
look,
Trump has this thing where he wants peace, and he wants everybody to make money. He wants us to be the golden age of not only the United States, of the world. Does Zelensky listen to Trump, or does he listen to Europe? Does he listen to his little buddy Macron?
well, I think it comes down to the EU. I don't, he's got to get Europe on board. Trump,
Right. I think. Well,
and it comes down to.
I think Trump is trying to go around EU and go directly to Zelensky. That's why Zelensky was at the White House last week and trying to get a deal done. It seems like Zelensky has agreed upon some stuff, but like in the past, April 2022, when Boris Johnson went down to Zelensky and ripped up the agreement that they had signed, is that what's going to happen again? Is little Macron going to come over there and rip it up and say, no, 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 no? Because we know that somebody's making money somewhere. We just can't, we don't know who or what, but it's going to come in the next couple of years. We're going to figure everything out. But yeah, I think it's going to end in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. We're done. 2.5, 3 weeks.
Hope you're
Is
right.
there a Polymarket Kalashi bet on that?
Yeah,
There has to be.
hold on, my battery's running out.
Right. Well,
Let me look that up though.
Well, why don't we'll look it up and we'll bring it back on the next episode. We'll talk about it in the next episode,
All right, my man.
and we will discuss it. Anyway, happy birthday to your father. Thank you for tuning into Citizen Outbreak, citizenOutbreak.com. You could buy our game, the card game that talks about the horrible couple of years of COVID and what happened after, and the silly stuff that happened. And tell your friends to listen to us. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and you could watch us on YouTube because we look good. By the way, Matthew, do you notice
I did the stash. Is this for November?
No, we're in October. It actually happened by accident. I was using, and this happens every couple months. I use the wrong blade, and then I just didn't want to go with the mustache. I was, going to a country concert, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it. Leaves me a little thing. What I really would like is I would like a tan. I'm getting a little green.
Yeah,
I need some
I'm
tan.
taupe. I gotta head south.
I need some color. Hopefully I'll get some color soon. I don't know, but happy birthday to your father and have a very nice day.
All right, my man. Peace.